Hey everyone, it's John here from Untitled Chapter back with another video, and this video is going over my winners and losers of NHL free agency so far. So we surpassed that 24-hour mark of free agency, so past that first day, and I was supposed to upload this last night, but then the Kemper trade went down and I was just super tired. But I want to get this video out and give my thoughts on some winners and some losers. I do want to talk about some like second tier winners, and then I will preface that like some of the losers I'll talk about, maybe they're not losers overall, or they're not losers in terms of specific signings, but like losers in a specific aspect or specific perspective. So if you are new, a new subscriber, welcome. Hit that like button and definitely drop a comment with your thoughts. So let's get into winners first. Start on the positive side, but I do want to give some honorable mentions. I think Montreal is like maybe like a second tier winner for me. I think the signings they did make were really good. I thought David Savard was a steal. I like the Cedric Paquette signing. I like the Chris Weidman signing, and I liked the Mike Hoffman signing. But I can't title them as big winners because losing Corey Perry, losing, obviously, I mean, they lost Shea Weber. That's not part of free agency here. But losing also Philip Deneau up the middle, I think is a huge loss here. So while I think they made some really good signings, I'm not going to title them as a big winner because of those losses as well. I also think the LA Kings, so they get Deneau, right? I don't know if they're a big winner because they didn't really do anything else significant outside of signing Alex Edler. For me, he's older, slower, but for 1 year, no risk. But I like the Deneau signing a lot. I mean, the nightmare for teams playing Kopitar and Deneau every night is going to be dreadful. Like, I think, like, obviously, I'm saying every night, but, like, obviously, for every game the LA Kings play, we're going to see a huge difference and a huge matchup game there. So that's kind of the perspective I have for that. And then the Calgary Flames, I really like the Blake Coleman signing. Like, I really think they hit big with that one at a $4.9 million cap hit. The term is maybe a little risky there, but that's the only thing they really did that was significant enough. Maybe acquiring Zadorov needs more attention as well. But I'm not going to title them as a huge winner because I think these other teams need respect. Actually, I'll throw it in Detroit. I don't think I had Detroit in my main winners, so I did want to give respect to the Red Wings because I think Suter, that signing was really, really underrated. I like the Osterley signing. Obviously, they brought in Nedeljkovic before free agency, but I like what Stevie Y is doing, of course, for Detroit. So let's go through the big winners, starting with the Boston Bruins. I love it. I love what they've done. Obviously, as a fan of another team in the Atlantic Division, I don't love it as a fan, but you've got to love what the Boston Bruins are doing in their perspective. Nick Foligno, that one stings, and we'll talk about it in the other perspective for the other team, but the Bruins, Nick Foligno, Eric Kalla, some of these guys, they're going to slot in on that third line probably. And then you get Ullmark. Like, that was huge. Getting a guy like Linus Ullmark is absolutely huge for this team. Not having Tuukka Rask for the first few months, or maybe at all, potentially. And you bring in a guy like Ullmark at a $5 million cap hit who can be a legit starter, potentially, and he showed really well with a bad Buffalo Sabres team. I just like what the Bruins did overall. I think even bringing in like depth pieces, I thought on that left side, even signing Forbert, yes, $3 million might be seen as maybe an extra $1 million too much, but Forbert, Mike Riley, Grayson on that left side is definitely a lot more solid. And I just like what the Bruins did just in general. I don't think they made a bad move here. So I think Boston's one of the biggest winners out of free agency so far. New Jersey Devils, I think if you sign a big top-notch, top 10, top 15 defenseman like this, at the very least a top 20 defenseman, Dougie Hamilton is a New Jersey Devil, and the contract's big, $9 million per, but I think bringing in him, and then even though maybe the Bernier contract's a little too much short term, and I think Bernier is a perfect kind of goalie to tandem with Mackenzie Blackwood. So I like what the Devils did, and obviously they were the big team to get the big player. All right, the Tampa Bay Lightning. So they didn't do anything negative. They lost David Savard, and they've lost some players here, but this was before free agency, and Brisebois has, I would say, somewhat filled the holes. I think you look at bringing Bogosian at $850K. That's your Walmart version of David Savard, and really cheap. You bring in Corey Perry now, which is huge, and if you don't beat him, join him, right, Corey Perry? So he loses back-to-back finals against the Lightning, joins the Lightning. They also bring in Belmar, and the Lightning just, maybe a little weaker on that third line, but in terms of the moves they made, even bringing in Brian Elliott, I think they're a big win here. Coming off 2 Stanley Cups, they haven't completely filled the holes. Maybe there's one more addition, but you have guys like Mitchell Stevens, you have Taylor Radish, you have Matthew Joseph, Barb Boulay, Ross Colton, guys like that. They're going to have an opportunity to fill the holes. They have a lot of guys coming out of the system as well, which is also scary. So I think Tampa's still a dub for the signings they did make. The Seattle Kraken. Some people might feel different, and honestly, I was hesitant to put them on the winners because of the Wenberg cap hit and contract. I don't love it, and I think Wenberg still has a lot to provide in a top 9 or even top 6 role, but I guess time will tell. But I love the Schwartz edition. I think if Schwartz is healthy, I love the Schwartz edition here for Seattle. And Grubauer, man, they came out of nowhere and potentially have one of the best tandems in the West. I would say you could argue they have the best tandem in that Pacific division. So, wow. Now they have Grubauer, who played like a Vezina goalie, had Vezina votes last year, and then Driedger. So I love what Seattle did. They utilized that cap space. They still have cap space to make more moves, and they sent Vanacek to get a pick, and I just think this was good for the Kraken. I think they have made themselves more competitive, and I can now open myself to think, while they don't have a big fish, while they don't maybe have like a bona fide number 1 guy up the middle, like they have a lot of depth and they have a lot of top 9, top 6 talent, and their defense is really solid. And as I said, that tandem. So I think the Kraken, we can open that conversation to potentially being a playoff team in that weaker Pacific division now. And the Dallas Stars, you know what? Maybe that Suter contract a little risky as an older player, but I love the Suter addition. I think all the additions the Stars made were really top-notch. I think Glendening as a specific role player, penalty killer, potentially, and then the face-off guy. Glendening purely is one of the best face-off guys in the league. I think Holtby at $1 million is a really good insurance piece to bring in with Bishop starting on LTIR potentially, and then you have Hudobin and Ottinger there as well. And then I like the addition a lot in Hakanpää. I think you brought in some depth, but your forward group, they brought in Raffle as well. I don't think your forward group needed a lot in that top 6 or top 9. I just think the problem last year was the health, staying healthy, and having everyone in the lineup. If you look down the list and everyone's healthy, Sagan, Ben, Radulov, now you have Robertson in there, you have Hintz, you have all these guys, you have Guryanov, right? So you have all these guys that can contribute. You know that. It's just staying healthy. And now they have a really solid defense. You have a really solid top 4 with Klingberg, with Suter now, with Heiskanen, with Lindell, and then your bottom pair now adding Hakanpää into the picture. Man, I think the Stars are big winners, and for me, they're right back in there as a team that should be making the playoffs. So I love what Dallas did. So those are the winners, and again, there's probably other teams you can give respects to, but I do want to go right into the losers and just say that, guys, these are not huge losers unless I say otherwise, but they're losers in certain perspectives. So just listen to what I have to say, okay? So the Avs for me are a loser in a certain perspective here. I think with the Stars, I think with the Avalanche versus other teams in their division, I think the Stars improved. I think the Jets improved. I think, the Blues lost and then kind of gained back. And I think the Blackhawks improved. I just think the Avalanche didn't really improve. And they kind of lost pieces. I don't think we can say the Avalanche are better than they were, you know? They lost Grubauer to Seattle and ended up having to pay assets, a first-round pick in a stacked draft next year, which could have been an asset to trade before the deadline to get a big piece. And they also traded Timmins, who was a really good piece in their top 6. In terms of forward group, they lost Brandon Saad, and I know they signed Darren Helm, but I don't look at the Avalanche and saying, okay, they improved. You know, they did bring back Gabriel Landeskog, and I think if they lost Landeskog on top of this, I would have them as huge losers. But I think the Avs, in that perspective of not getting better, and in the perspective of having to pay assets to get a goalie in Kemper, even though I think the Kemper addition is really good if he can stay healthy. I'm not going to put them as winners, and I have them a little bit below neutral, and just in terms of that aspect. I don't think they're better. They paid assets to get a goalie in what they already had for Kemper. They could have just paid him. Grubauer, but now they got Kemper. All over the place with this Avalanche analysis, but you guys get the point, I hope. And let's just move on to the next loser. All right, Edmonton Oilers. So, again, it's another scenario where I like the Hyman edition. The term is probably going to be costly towards the end, but you don't care. You're trying to win now. I just don't like the money going towards CC and Barry like that. So I'm not going to have them as winners until I see a couple more moves. Maybe I don't have them as winners at all. Right now, they're losers until I see them trade Koskinen and get a better goalie. I think get another forward into their top 9 and make sure you're giving an opportunity for Bouchard to play. I know in this community, Bouchard's kind of been a meme, but Bouchard's the guy on that right side that needs to be given an opportunity. And I think the Oilers, they can be better this year, but right now, based on the contracts they handed out, I can't have them as winners. I'm going to have them as losers on those contracts. The Toronto Maple Leafs. Okay, I'm going to make this very clear. I don't think the Leafs are losers in terms of the contracts they did sign. I think the Mrazek signing's whatever. I think time will tell if it's worth it. The concern for me is Mrazek and Campbell have shown that both can get injured and both can be injury prone. So that's the concern for me. 3.8. Mrazek, we'll see. Again, we'll see. I think David Kampf at 1.5 is fine. Again, it's one of those things. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's not great. But you did get a steal in Michael Bunting at 950 or 900K, wherever that's at. I liked the Curtis Gabriel signing, and they just got some depth pieces. So I'm fine with what the Leafs did, but they didn't get a significant top 6 swinger. And for me, their goaltending, I think it's just probably about the same. I think Freddie was kind of injured and just inconsistent. I think not enough people are appreciating what Freddie did in the past, but I don't know if Mrazek's this big upgrade. So I can't really say the Leafs are better than they were. And I think just the kind of extra twist of the knife was Foligno signing with Boston. After Boston acquired Taylor Hall, re-signed him. That's in the Atlantic Division. I think Tampa, while they may have got worse, they still made good signings. And I think Florida got better. And Montreal made some good signings while they may have gotten worse. But Toronto really, I don't think, has gotten better here. And the Foligno scenario where they gave up a first-round pick and then losing Foligno to Boston, to me, on the day, Toronto is somewhat of an L. But again, I love the Bunting signing, and I love their signings, I would say overall, but I don't think they're a winner here. Vancouver Canucks. So again, I like what they've done in an overall perspective. I think the Canucks are better than they were, but man, that Tucker Pullman contract, like, Buddy is max for me, a 5th, 6th defenseman, depth defenseman at some points. Like, 2.5 per for 4 years. That's an L for betting. You can't tell me otherwise. Even if he shows pretty well in a bottom pair role, 2.5. Like, I just think Luke Shen. Like, I think Luke Shen can fill that kind of role. And you're saving, like, almost $2 million. So, I think that one was weird. Even Hamonic for $3 million, and the injury prone there. I just think having Myers, Hamonic, and Pullman on that right side combined for over $10 million, to me, is just not worth it. And yeah, like, I think the Canucks did fine, as I said. I wouldn't say that I'm ripping into them here or ranting or any of that. I will say that I think for the Garland edition, even though that's not part of free agency here, that one was one of my favorite editions so far in this offseason. So just in terms of the Garland edition, big dubs for the Canucks. Hurricanes and Rangers here. So Hurricanes, just quickly, I think when you lose a star player like Dougie Hamilton, you have to be labeled as some kind of loser. I don't think they got worse than the other perspectives, really. I mean, their goaltending, I think it's still an L that you tossed Nedeljkovic aside like that. But I still think they have a decent tandem with Freddie Anderson and Ranta, and not too expensive at all. And I was fine with their additions. I mean, again, you lost Hamilton, and you brought in Ian Cole in the defense. And you also, you brought in Ethan Bear. So, I think the Hurricanes are not huge losers. But, again, when you lose a guy like Dougie Hamilton, and they're not better. They're definitely not better than what they were. And they probably got a little worse for sure. You definitely get worse when you lose a guy like Dougie Hamilton. So, losers for me. And Rangers, they just didn't do anything. They lost Buchnevich and still haven't done anything. So if you're watching this video and that's changed and the Rangers signed a guy or made a big move, then maybe my mindset changes. But right now, the Rangers have not done anything. And the difference between the Rangers, and people will be like, how about the Islanders? The Islanders have not done anything. Well, the Islanders, I think, have stuff in the back burner. They're going to re-sign Zizekas, I think so. I'd be shocked. So comment if it happens. But I think Zizekas goes back to the Islanders. And I think they are going to figure out the RFA situations. That was their priority. And I do think they'll probably still bring back Paul Mary. So and Parise. I think Parise is going to the Islanders. So if they make those signings, I mean, the Islanders are not going to be an L, and I'm not putting them on an L until they don't do that. So the Rangers, for me, there's nothing rumored right now. I think I saw like a Nick Ritchie rumor, but we'll see what happens. The Rangers haven't really done anything. So let me know what you guys think. Sorry if this video wasn't too well formatted, but I just wanted to go over winners. I guess winners on this side, losers on this side, and I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. So hit that subscribe button, drop a like, leave your thoughts in the comment section. This was John from Untitled Hockey. Have a good one. Peace out.